Okay. So, I'm making this video. This video is going to be way longer than the 45-second videos I've usually made. Because I want to go over the history of some antique lighters, or more over the history of lighters, right? So, yeah, if you don't know me, like personally, I collect antique lighters. I'm always looking for more, and I can't stop buying them, and I just have a lot of them, and I want to show them off, and that's okay, alright? Don't judge me, alright? I like my things, and you like your things, and we do stuff, alright? I'm gonna start our research, I suppose. I'm gonna move my phone. If you're wondering what you're looking at, it's my floor. It's very dirty, I know. Okay, that looks a little better. Actually, I'm gonna move my phone over. There. You can see all the dirt that's like right there. I gotta clean my room. Anyway, we're gonna start our research right with this number right here. You know it. You've seen them in the movies and the games. This is another one. This one's an antique one, technically. Zippos. You know them. You love them, maybe. I love them. I don't know what you think of them, but I love them. And this one's from the 1970s. And you can tell from the markings on the bottom. You can tell that's stylized Zippo compared to the modern day, more bolded Zippo with the flame for the eye. And this, you can tell the date of these lighters. These ones have a date mark L17, which means that it was probably made in maybe 2012. When this one has a little 2 there and a 1 there. So I'm pretty sure this was made 1974. I haven't dated it in a while, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty accurate. Zippos were invented about 1920s, some point in the 20s. I forget by who, but it was invented by a guy who was hanging out with some friends, and his friend went to light a cigarette, and he saw he was fumbling around with this Austrian lighter. And this Austrian lighter that his friend had the iconic Zippo wind guard on it. And that's where he stole this design of this wind guard. And that very, very iconic chimney design prevents wind. This is what we use in the Boy Scouts because they're windless. You can start a campfire even if it's just a hurricane. They won't go out. Okay, probably not in a hurricane they won't go out. But unlike this thing, unlike this thing, which is not windless and just has an open flame, this thing is protected by that wind guard. So windless. And he stole the design of that wind guard, but he saw that his friend had to struggle to use it with 2 hands. So he made a case, and there is a Zippo museum in focus. Oh my god, guys, focus, please. Thank you for focusing. In Bradford, Pennsylvania, which is where they're made, and where he's from, the original Zippo he made, this is one I got when I was like 13, the original Zippo he made is in that museum, and I want to go to it. Someday I want to go to that, and I live close to it too. So, yeah, these lighters were invented about 1920s. He saw his friend, he was struggling with this Austrian-made lighter, and he decided to take the wind guard off it and standardize it down into this easy-to-use, one-handed design. Now you can open them, you can do tricks with them. I got greasy hands, I had pierogies, so. There we go. You can do tricks with them. And they're pretty iconic lighter, and they still make them today. And Well, when these came out, they very quickly dominated the market. And there were lighter companies that were king before Zippo. Specifically, a company named Ronson. This is a Ronson cigarette lighter. This has no fluid in it, and also it's like gummed up, so I should probably not do that. Cigarette case lighter. So you'd store your... Oh my god, you guys cannot focus today. What's going on? Jeez, what is wrong with my camera? I gotta bring it closer? Finally! Oh my god, jeez. It took so long. But, yeah, you put your cigarettes in here. They don't work now because they used to make shorter cigarettes back in the day. Again, I'm gonna have to wait for my phone to focus. But it says Ronson on it. Or, fine, I guess we're just not gonna see it. I'm not waiting a whole minute. But I bought this at an antique store for $10, which is a steal. I mean, it has some scratches on the back. Like right there. You can see it if I... But still, a really good deal. And this was actually made by Ronson. But I'm going to use this lighter as a demonstration. This one's not made by Ronson. This one is made by... I will wait until it's focused. I will wait. I will wait. Thank you. Made by Symbol. Okay, it's made by Symbol. You see it? It's made by Symbol. I don't know which way to angle it, but it's made by Symbol. And these lighters. This is like a copycat from Japan. I don't know when this was made, but these were the lighters that were around. Not everybody had these. Of course, some people had those Austrian-made lighters. Some people had lighters like these. This is a lipstick lighter from the potentially from 1914, which would make, definitely from 1920, potentially 1914. This thing is over 100 years old, and it's in beautiful condition for being over 100 years old. I mean, it's got some tarnish there, but like, the phone, please. You're really making this rough on me. You're really making this rough on me, dude. I mean, come on. Do I need to... Fine, I'll bring it closer. I'll compromise. Jesus Christ. This is a lighter made by... Actually, what company made this? I don't know if this has a company mark. It does have a patent, U.S. patent number, but it does not have the full number. It looks like it did at one point, but no longer does. It was made in Germany. I don't know much about this lighter. If anyone knows more about this, who isn't familiarized with my channel and just found this video by sheer luck, if you know more about this, I'd love to know more. Because the only information I could find about this is one listing on WorthPoint. And it was listed for $50. Said it was made in the 1910s. And that's about it. I don't know who made it. I don't know the patent number. All I know is made in Germany. But this thing is in beautiful condition. But they may have had lighters like this. They may have had a lighter similar to this that's called a swing arm lighter, where instead of pressing this, you'd instead swing it up, and the arm would go from like this up, and then it would expose. I don't exactly know how they work, but it's rather that it would strike while you did it, or you'd have to spin it yourself to expose the flame. They were very similar to this one. That's why I'm holding this one up, because just imagine that swing arm instead. If you look up swing arm lighter, you'll find it. You'll find them online. They still make them. I'm pretty sure Ronson actually makes them. But, yeah. Ronson had localized the lighter but it wasn't very practical. Let me explain. The reason why these, I didn't show you the inside of this one. You can hear how the ting of this one is smaller and more subtle compared to the loud clang of this one. And this one, I like this one. I like the cat walking on the fence. I don't know which way to angle this. I don't know if I'm supposed to angle it this way or this way. If they're appearing sideways, here, I'll angle it this way even. I don't know which way to do it, but, yeah. If they're appearing sideways, that's my fault, but also not my fault. But Ronson had localized lighters, but they weren't very practical. Let me explain. You can see there's a lot of small parts to this. There's this little screw. There's this little flint wheel. There's these little gears on the inside of the flint wheel. You have a little wick with a little button and a little this and a little that, little screws, little hole to go to your cotton, and your wick, which is on the inside. Basically what I'm getting at here is these were nice, but they weren't easy to service. If you had to put a new wick in here, which you have to do because it burns the wick, what you'd have to do is you'd have to take this screw off, unscrew it, pull all your cotton out. If you don't know how a lighter works, let me use this one as a demonstration. Steel, flint, it's not really called flint. It's like I forget what it actually is, but it's not actual flint. It's like magnesium and iron mixed together. Come on. Oh, jeez, it's tight. Here's your inside case, right? This just fits into this. But you have your cotton, which has a wick in it. Your wick comes up here, and you have this screw, which, if I unscrew it, you'll see I haven't unscrewed this in a very long time, so I hope I don't break this, but interesting. I did not know that did that. Well, note. Oh, I see. I think that's meant to do that. I don't know. This thing is weird. But you can kind of see it. You have this spring. Yeah. You have this spring, and on the end there's like a little brass nub, which is like the plunger. And it pushes your flint into this wheel, and you spin the wheel, and then there's fuel on your wick, which lights, and then you got a flame. Pretty simple, pretty simple. And you've got all that cotton around it to hold the fuel. We're not gonna open that one anymore. I like to keep that one unopened. These, again, work on the same principle. You have cotton, you have a wick, but think about what you'd had to do to replace your wick. You'd have to unscrew this with little tweezers. You'd have to go in that hole, pull everything out of this chamber, which can be a lot of cotton. Then you'd have to, from the top, pull your old wick off, just straight out. Take some fishing line, or maybe some small string, thread it through that hole and out the back, tie it to your wick, and pull it through. Then you'd have to stuff everything back inside. What a mess. Zippo came around and fixed all that. These also have an inside case. But look at how exposed this is. Just flip this up. There's no screw in that you have to take off to fill it. There's another flint in there too. That's what that little thing is. All your cotton's right there. You can pull it out with pliers. You can pull it out with your fingers if you want to. This screw, believe it or not, doesn't need a flathead, even though it has the thing on there. Easy to get to your wick. Easy to work on. And these were windless too. Unlike the Ronsons, which weren't windlass. Ronson lighters were invented, I think, 1916 by a guy named Aronson. He had a company. It was called like the All Something's Plater. He used to do silver plating, and then they made lamps and inkwells, and they also made hood ornaments. And then they started making. They changed their name to Ronson, and they started making matches. They used to make safety matches and windlass matches. But then the Belgian government, I'm pretty sure, limited the production of phosphorus, which is a chemical that was once put into matches, is not put into matches anymore, or white phosphorus at least. Now we put red phosphorus in, which isn't as deadly, because the people that made phosphorus used to get a thing called phossy jaw. Basically, you'd be exposed to it, and it would start breaking down the muscles in your jaw, and then your, like, jaw would become weaker, and you'd, like, stutter from it, and, like, when you go to open your jaw, or open your mouth, your, like, jaw would, like, stutter open from it, and then eventually you get cancer and die. But, yeah, the Belgian government limited that, so they had to find another way to make money, and that's where the lighter comes in. They patented this design, which is pretty much the same thing. I mean, it's different. It's a little bit of a different patent, but pretty much the exact same thing. And they quickly gained a lot of money from it, and then they pretty much were the main lighter of Europe, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not sure if they really came over to the States. But then, of course, World War II happened. Pretty sure I've already explained what happened in World War II with the soldiers and the free advertising and the blah blah blah. And then Zippo, of course, easier to work on, easier to use, and it's just easier maintenance. Another thing with these is I'm not going to strike it anymore because these have a very common problem where that flint wheel starts rubbing up against the metal here, and then it won't press the flint far enough. This is the insert of a table lighter. I'll show you the whole thing later. There's a flint in there. Doesn't work. And you can see this one is a little bit different. You can see there's like a little thingy there on the side, unlike this one, where there is no thingy, and that's because it was made by Evans, and that is a perfect segue into the next lighter, which was invented in 1922, the Evans lighter. Let me get my, here it is. This is another cigarette case. This one flips down and was made by Evans. Evans lighters were very classy lighters. They used, most of the time, they used on their lighters, they used a glass, like a glass something. They used like special glass that they put on their lighters. And if you find an Evans lighter with that glass on it, it's very expensive. Like this egg table lighter, which you sit on a table, and then you put your cigarette up to it, and you just light it. This one is chipped. It's worth nothing. It is made of that glass material. This was a $75 lighter until it fell off a table. Now it's about a $10 lighter because, you know, it fell off a table. But, you know, I can't be too mad. I gotta just bottle up my energy like I do. Evans lighters were invented in about 1922. And they were the... Does this actually have the glass in it? It might. Those black stripes? That actually might be glass. I never even thought of that until now. That might be glass. I never even considered that. But, the Evans lighters were invented about 1922. So, about maybe 8 years after Ronson was around. And they pretty much used the exact same design. with that little toothed gear on the side, right? And they called it like the quick U-Lite with like LITE. Like it was pretty much they patented a new thing, but they added a single thing to it to make it different than Ronson. Ronson sued them in the 30s, or in the 40s, mind you, not the 30s, the 40s, because they argued that they had copied their design. And they won that lawsuit, meaning that Evans had to give shares of, I don't know if it's rather shares of profits or all the profits of their lighters. I know Evans also made swing guard lighters. I'm pretty sure Evans may have been making lighters before Ronson did. But Ronson invented this button press design, and then Evans copied it, and then Ronson sued Evans, and they had to give some money or something. I don't exactly know the end result of that lawsuit. I do know that Ronson did win the lawsuit, though. And that's the history of Evans lighters. But, of course, by the 40s, these have become popular. And when Ronson won that lawsuit in the 50s, very soon after, it was maybe 1956, I'm pretty sure, or 1954, one of those years, Zippo bought Ronson. I don't know how much they bought them for, but they did buy out Ronson. And that was big, too, because, I mean, Zippos had been around for about the same amount of time as Ronson, but that was big. That was pretty big. That was a very big advancement in Zippo history. And Ronson still exists today, and you can still buy their lighters, but no one does. And there's no need for no one to buy their lighters because Zippo owns them, and everyone buys Zippos. So the sold Zippos pay for Ronson's, for Ronson being around, right? So they're not going to go bankrupt anytime soon, but not because they're selling a lot of lighters. It's because their parent company is selling a lot of lighters to be able to pay to keep Ronson around. But yeah, you can still buy their lighters. I'm pretty sure you can buy the swing arm lighters from them too. And yeah, so if you've ever bought Ronson lighter fluid, know that you're buying the same thing as Zippo fluid. You're buying it in a yellow container instead of a black container, and you're buying it in a plastic container instead of an aluminum container. So just know that you're buying pretty much the same thing. The last lighter we're gonna go over, personally, my favorite lighter is the Scripto lighter. From what I understand, these were invented maybe some point in the 50s or 60s. I might be wrong on that. I haven't done much research on Scripto. Here's another one. This is a mini one. You can see that chrome bottom compared to no chrome bottom on this one. Considerably smaller. But yeah. These are personally my favorite lighters, just because of how absolutely engineered to the nines they are. These things are so smartly put together. Let me explain. You can see all that lighter fluid in that bottom chamber, right? Well, where's your cotton? Well, I'll tell you where your cotton is. It's up here in this plastic band. See, a common problem with Zippos today and back then, and same thing with Ronsons and Evans and pretty much that lipstick lighter I showed you too, and all of those lighters, was that you'd be out of fluid pretty quickly. And not because you're using it a lot. It's because I already explained the problem. Your fluid is getting sucked up by capillary action into the wick. But then once it's exposed to air, it evaporates. So leave this to sit, and it's gonna run out of fluid in maybe 3 days. I mean, if you keep this shut for the entire time, you fill it and keep it shut and never use it, might last a week. Scripto solve that problem by separating your fluid and your cotton while still allowing you to light a wick. Let me explain. You see this button on the side? I'm not sure if you can see that, but there is a valve in there. You're probably not going to focus on it, but let me see if I can increase the brightness on my phone. Now you're not, you might see it. You might see it, but there is a valve right there that's connected to this button. So you'd fill up this chamber all the way. And right now it doesn't work. Doesn't work. All you have to do is hold down on this button while it's staying upside down for maybe 2 seconds. And there were bubbles that came up. I'm not sure if you could see that. Hold it upside down for a little bit longer. You could shake it a little bit to make sure you're getting that fluid to it. And now it works. With a full one of these, your lighter is going to last months. And you're going to be using every ounce of fluid you put in it. So why didn't these become successful? Oh, well, before I explain that, also, they were also engineered, you know how most of the lighters got a flint thing on the bottom? This one is right here. There's your flint, and you didn't need no screw. You can just unscrew it. And your flint's in there, and there's your plunger. And you just connect it all back together. And, well, you could lose this flint wheel. That's why I'm doing this not on camera. I'm actually going to do this off camera so I don't lose it. I do have an extra one of these. These are also smartly put together for taking them apart. There's a little sleeve in here. Once you take that sleeve out, there's that sleeve. You close the lid and turn it. It exposes a screw. Once you unscrew that screw, you can just pop off this entire chrome part, and your flint, or not your flint, your cotton and your wick are all exposed. You can put a new one in. Very, very easy to put one in. This thing's leaking fluid after I did that. I probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be completely empty without doing that. I got lighter fluid all over my hands now. That was pretty dumb of me. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to do that, and I probably did, and I just did it anyway without thinking. Yeah. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that. That is really dumb. I don't want to light my hands on fire. So why didn't these become successful, right? Well, 2 reasons. One, they were invented in the 50s and 60s. By that time, these were being invented. This is a slim case. I'm pretty sure I already said that. But you can see, it's a slim case. These were invented in like the 60s. These were just coming out. So, they had no room to move. Because by the 60s, Zippo owned the market. They owned other companies. I don't know if they ever bought out Evans, but they did buy out more companies. And they were pretty much a monopoly at this point. So they had no room to move, right? Because Zippo owns the market. Where are you going to go? I mean, trying to make a lighter company when there's a freaking lighter company that already exists and solves everyone's problems is pretty pointless. But the biggest problem is actually one in design. I like how these are designed, but I really wish they would have made them out of stronger materials, because this plastic band is probably the cheapest plastic you'll ever see. And you can see that this one has been deformed right there. You can see how it doesn't come in line, it's a little up. That's from heat. Very commonly, you'll find these lighters with that problem. This one isn't like it, and my other ones aren't like them because, well, they're pretty much brand new. This one I got at a flea market for like $7. And that's why I used it, because, well, I don't care. It's deformed anyway. I probably bought it for like the amount I can sell it for. So to say that this is like an antique, like rare, it's not. It doesn't have like a cool, like the sparkles, or sometimes they come with like a card on the inside. It has none of that. It's just, it's not. It's got like a bunch of black tar on the inside. It's not that rare, and it's not that good in condition. And these would very easily break down after like a few months of use because of that band. And it sucks. If they would have made that band out of metal, or even just like a more fire retardant plastic, probably would have at least gotten bigger than they were. Scripto's still around, and they make these modern style of butane lighters, but they're not. It sucks to know that these Scripto views, which is what they're called, because you can view how much fuel you had in it, haha, views with VU, spelled VU, which doesn't make sense because technically it would be VEU, at least, or VIEUW is view. So VU is technically VU. So there's Scripto VUs, but that doesn't make any sense. So I know they're views, but they had to. I mean, you could have, if you wanted to do a cool name, you could have done like VEU. That would have been view, right? But they no. So no, 3 letters. That's bad. We're gonna make it 2 letters. We're so cool. We're so cool. Freaking shut up, guys. You ain't cool. But yeah, it sucks that these weren't popularized as much. But they're personally my favorite lighters just because of how they're designed and how they work and the innovation behind the design. Right. Very, very, very cool. And I mean, that's about all I have to say. I mean, there are other lighters out there, of course. There were the swing arms, which I don't own one of those because they're very, very expensive. They can go anywhere between maybe 50 to 200. Also, I just realized this ain't glass. It's got a little chip. It's definitely paint, but yeah, they're very expensive because, well, the antique ones at least, they didn't make very many of them. So I mean, they did make a lot of them, but they're like really old. Like there's not many of them left for sure. So you know, that's just something to consider there. But someday I probably will get one. Yeah, that's about all that I have to say. That's about all I know about these antique lighters. If you learned something, good. If you didn't, well, then you probably shouldn't be here. And you just spent 33 minutes and 37 seconds listening to some 15-year-old ramble on about lighters. Thanks for watching. You probably didn't get this far. If you did, good job to you. Go do your homework or something. Also, one last thing. Cole, I know you're down in my comments. Everybody go tell him to fuck off. Because I want him out of my comment section. I am especially speaking to Connor and Wither to go tell him to fuck off. Cole, if you're in my comment section, there will be at least 2 people, not concerning me, telling you to fuck off. So just be ready for that. Alright, I'm outie.